A News.
Thanks very much, and thanks to your listeners too.
Now, I understand how the book fair started yesterday. What can readers expect, or what took place yesterday that, readers, frantic readers, can expect throughout the fair?
Yes, firstly, yesterday was a focus on what we call a schools program. What Jozi Book Fair does is that throughout the year, schools choose books, mainly for kind of that age group, teenagers. They read through the books, and what Jozi Book Fair then does is to get the authors of the book to come speak to them about the book. So yesterday there were a whole range of authors who met the learners and spoke to them about the books. And that was really the highlight for the learners, because at least they met the people that they read about and spoke to them about the books and what they thought about the books and all of that kind of stuff. There were also for the learners yesterday workshops on various things, writing workshops for them, how to write a newsletter, how to write a story, social media workshops, so a whole kind of range of workshops for the learners. And in a way that theme continues with the children's program. We've got, in various kind of, these are the primary school one. Yesterday was more the high schools one. The primary schools one have what we call the poetry buddies. And basically they learn and write poetry. They published a book last year of poetry. They published another one this year. So there are again a variety of programs for them, stretching from how to write, how to do. But also we're training in a range of workshops, parents and individuals really who would like to be able to teach kids how to do poetry, how to write stories, and so on. So you get workshops like that. You've got a workshop, for example, on illustrations for children's books by Joanne Rankins, who's a very renowned illustrator in this country, a very famous illustrator. So she's running kind of workshops for these, what we call the coordinators of the poetry buddies, to teach them how to do. We've got Ms. Van Riel Eunice, who will be doing, a workshop on take any piece of dirt, rubbish, paper, plastic, this, and turn it into an artifact, for the kids. So that the kids can kind of do this themselves. They can have a bit of a more broader visual sense of what's possible. So that's kind of the children's, of course, the highlight of the children's program is Gcina Mhlophe, of course, that you spoke about, is doing storytelling. There's what we call a storytelling festival. There's Gcina Mhlophe, who's kind of the main kind of attraction in that thing. But we also have storytellers from the San community, because these are kind of great storytellers.
Now, you speak a lot about children, and it seems like there's a whole full spectrum of programs and exciting activities for children, which goes in line with your theme for this year, which is, children's literature and childhood. Why did you specifically decide to sort of target children in this year's theme?
Yes, I think what we've been looking at is the fact that it's quite important that as a country, as a nation, we look at how a reading culture will develop. I think we do a lot of programs focused on adults, but our strategy has been to say to ourselves that, look, if we do programs like the children write, the children read, they do all these kinds of things, 10 years down the line, we have a very large, significant crop of young adults who read very well, who've been exposed to literature, who know how to speak to authors, but who also write. And in that way, we kind of invest in the medium term on that. But we also think that the situation of children is quite, I think, critical in any country. As someone recently said, I think in the news, that you will judge a nation's performance by what it does with its children. And in that sense, we think that children are not only at a kind of ripe age where their minds are quite open to absorb a lot of knowledge, but they also, in a way, will be bearers of that culture into the future. So in the adult program, in the main program as well, there are discussions about the literature of children, about how childhood is portrayed in these kinds of issues, and of course about the general, more non-fiction discussions about the state of children in the country. So we think an investment in that. And I think Jozi Book Fair has, through the years, always had a children's program. And we've kind of decided that, I think once, probably every couple of years, we need to return to a full theme on children, to kind of also pick up as to how are we progressing in dealing with kind of the issues of
Well, allow me to go back to also one of your guest of honors for the fair, which is Gcina Mhlophe. I mean, growing up, going to school every morning, we used to watch on television. Gcina would read stories for us, have children seated around her. So it actually makes sense why she would be one of the guest of honors. But most significantly also, she starts her journey with Wits University, which is the home of the fair this year.
Yes. And I think what has happened is that Kenya is kind of 30 years old next year as an institution, and when Kenya opened its doors to students in 1986, one of our main partners, we became a feeder institution for the University of Witwatersrand. So all the Kenya students would be there, and they would spend a year academic training, and they would kind of gain automatic qualification. Of course, they had to pass, but to Wits kind of guaranteed places at universities like Wits in particular. So I think what we've done is basically to rekindle that partnership, and we went to the VC and said, look, we've had this partnership historically. It kind of was almost a 15-year-long partnership until the end of apartheid, where we were a feeder institution for Wits. And we said that, look, there are new challenges. We no longer, it's not just an academic program, but we feel that a book fair is kind of consistent with the aims of our education system in terms of reading and writing cultures, in terms of the way it underwrites actual academic education, you know, because we feel that for academic education to thrive, children and young adults need to read in general, you know, and not just cram for exams. So we said to Wits, look, we had a partnership. There's a lot of people, in fact, who work at Kenya, who used to work at Kenya. They teach at Wits. They're alumni of Wits. Is it possible for us to reopen this partnership in a new context where we bring all these, it's kind of a non-formal space at the moment, what we do at Kenya, and to bring it into a space. So in this year's fair, for instance, we have a lot of Wits academics who are in various panels. There are books that they've published. Wits University Press is an active participant in this, and they form kind of part of a committee that we and Wits have put together to drive the fair going forward. So for us, Wits, in a sense, was picking up on the past, looking at current conditions and saying, look, there are opportunities here, and of course, there are obligations here for universities like Wits to actually begin to intervene and strengthen that kind of civil society space.
And just briefly before I let you go, Dr. Oupa, I mean, one of the aspects of our education system this year that we can't ignore is the fact that government has introduced e-learning with the tablets, introduction of tablets in schools. What is the book fair, the Jozi Book Fair stands on e-books and young children reading on the internet as opposed to buying a book?
Yes. I think if one takes the internet reading and e-books as just a device, in other words, instead of carrying paper, I carry this. Well, clearly, I mean, there's no question about the importance of this. In fact, in the workshops that we did for the learners yesterday, we had actually a workshop on e-learning and what we call the use of social media. Because again, we have, as Jozi Book Fair, a relationship, a kind of a partnership with Funza Books, and basically they distribute young adults' books on phones, on cell phones. That's what Funza Book does. So they've always come in the various book fair to do workshops on that. So that space is an important one itself. I think the issue, though, that we need to be mindful of as a challenge is that actually the internet space, we have to manage it in a way that it doesn't lead, as many kind of research reports have shown, to a decline in the cognitive capacities of the students. Because sometimes there's something to be said, especially at that age, as they say, they must be out there, they must learn. And as you see in the program, for instance, we've struck up a partnership with the Origin Center. You know, so the kids there in this program, they'll be making tours with parents of the Origin Center, because we think it's the multidimensional nature of the platforms of learning that gives ebooks a kind of a strong platform.
All right, and where can everyone interested in attending get their tickets and when?
Yes, firstly, I think the book fair is free, the entrance is free. All the sessions are free. It's sessions over the 3 days of 120 sessions. So it's quite a full and varied program for everyone, for families, for adults, for specialists. It's at the Wits University West Campus. It's called the Science Stadium. It's a very kind of nice setting with places for children, for adults, and so on.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thank you so much for joining us. That was Oupa Lehulere, the director of Kenya College, talking to us about the 7th annual Jozi Book Fair.